Warning, the video you are about to see was shot by a trained professional, so for your safety and the protection of those around you, please do not film while driving. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing Ego Rideshare. Let's talk about it. Buckle up, safety first, let's get it. Now I want to talk about Canelo Alvarez. He's promoting his fight with Kovalev, and they did a press conference in LA. I want to talk about what Canelo had to say, and I want to talk about what he had to say in regards to Gennady Golovkin. Now, there seems to be this ongoing battle between Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya, and also Canelo and DOESNT, and what Canelo wants for his career, what he's willing to do versus what Golovkin and DOESNT and everyone wants to do. In my opinion, Oscar De La Hoya has promised DOESNT a Canelo Triple G trilogy fight. And I think most people thought this would be something that is feasible and easily doable. But according to Canelo, who's the A side and kind of dictates his career, he doesn't seem to think that same way. Canelo, it sounds, believes that he is the A side and he has no more business to finish with Gennady Golovkin. He's already proven what he needed to prove. In fact, Canelo said, hold on, we merging. Safety first, hold on. Yeah. In fact, Canelo said, I beat him twice. I already beat him. So the first fight that was ruled a draw, he thinks he beat Canelo. Or he thinks he beat Triple G. So he said, that ain't even a challenge for me anymore. And now we're at this type standoff. What the fuck? Somebody just threw a whole bag out of the window. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. It's just getting crazy. It's getting real chippy. Another thing I noticed that people haven't really brought up is that Canelo Alvarez was asked about Oscar De La Hoya, and one of the reporters yesterday said, hey, De La Hoya said he considers you and him good friends. Do you feel the same way? And Canelo took a big ass sigh, paused, hesitated before answering, and just said, yeah. And based on his mannerism, how he was when he responded, didn't really sound convincing to me. So that, coupled with the fact of Ryan Garcia, what he went through, and he seems cool now because they reworked his deal or gave him an extension, gave him more money. He kind of got what he was wanting. He feels he deserves more money for what he brings to the table. You know, he feels like I'm the star. You're putting Jaime Munguia as the main event, but people are coming out to see me. I'm from Cali, not Jaime Munguia. I'm the one with the following, not Jaime Munguia. So whatever happened with him seems to be squashed. They deleted the tweets where Ryan Garcia was kind of going in on Golden Boy, and that's where we're at with that situation. He appears happy. He's fighting Romero Duno on the Canelo Kovalev undercard, but I think there's more than meets the eye here, especially with just Canelo retweeted some of Ryan Garcia's tweets going at Golden Boy, and then they've all deleted them now. But I have screenshots of all this, so something seems to be going on, especially with Canelo. He said, De La Hoya says he's friends with you. What do you say to that? And he was like, yeah. It just didn't sound really believable, so whatever. But Canelo himself has recently stated that Golden Boy, somebody asked him, they said, are you fighting Triple G? De La Hoya says he's going to deliver that in 2020. Canelo replies, and it's really kind of taking a shot at your team. Canelo responded to something to the effect of, De La Hoya says a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. This stuff doesn't sound righteous to me. This doesn't sound like they're all on the same page. I think Canelo is a professional. So he's not going to be sloppy about it, but he don't really ultimately seem thoroughly happy. He seems like he's in contract, he's in concert with Golden Boy and DAZN, and he's just, going through the motions. He wanted to fight Kovalev. I'm really disappointed in the Kovalev fight. Some people are hyping it up and like they see the size differential. I just think Kovalev has seen better days. Yes, he's bigger, but if you really boil it down, Canelo has faced a lot of guys that were bigger than him. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., 6'2.5". Danny Jacobs, about 6'1.5", 6'2", right? Liam Smith, Rocky Fielding, about 6'3", 6'3.5". So he's fought. Golovkin's bigger than Canelo. So Canelo's almost always at a height disadvantage. That's not really anything spectacular or new, albeit it's at a higher weight. Weight doesn't, it matters, but then it doesn't. It depends on the stylistic matchup, you know what I'm saying? Like, it gets to a point where so much weight is going to be a difference maker, but within reason, I don't think it's going to matter too much. Like Canelo, his walk around weight, the fact that he's fought at 168, moved from 54 to 164.5, I think he's really been starving himself to make some of the lighter weights anyway. I think naturally, if he wasn't a boxer, he wouldn't weigh anything close to 154 or whatever. So I don't think it's going to hurt Canelo. Canelo has the style and the ring IQ and the intelligence where he can fight defensively responsible and negate someone just being taller and having a size advantage, within reason. I'm not saying he can fight at cruiserweight, heavyweight, but he fights light heavyweights. He spars with Shabransky, who's a light heavyweight, who Kovalev fought and knocked out. Sullivan Barrera knocked out. He spars with Bilal Akawi, a big puncher who's 168, who, when he's not training for a fight, looks a lot bigger. So I think Canelo is kind of used to fighting bigger guys and not being the taller guy. So I don't really see that being so much of a difference maker. Kovalev, they're banking on the fact that he's bigger, the physicality, the physical look behind him, the fact that they're marketing it as a 2-weight division jump, and they're saying that it's a 4-division champion, which I don't respect. I don't really consider this a 4-division weight jump at all. Reason being is, who did you fight in each weight class? What champ? The 3rd division, you beat Rocky Fielding, who looks like Aaron Rodgers, for a fake ass title, and he'd been knocked out by Caleb Smith. So Caleb Smith is the real champion there, and with that particular belt, not Rocky Fielding. So I don't really even look at Canelo as a 3-division champ, to be honest, because there's too many belts in boxing, and the belt you have is, for all intents and purposes, it's just like a alphabet belt. It's not really a meaningful, this is a tried and tested champion. Rocky Fielding would lose to any top level guy at 168, definitely at 175. So that's that. Canelo versus Triple G. I don't even really want to see the 3rd fight. I don't care about that fight. With undefeated Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, Caleb Plant, Caleb Smith, Zurdo Ramirez, winner of Artur Beterbiev, Voltsdik, Dimitri Bivol. With that type of talent pool, I literally have really no interest. Oh shit, hold on. The sun's behind me, so it look all crazy. I really have no interest in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Before other fights. I think there's just better fights, more meaningful fights for Canelo that made more sense, and he would get more authority from beating certain guys. Zurdo Ramirez, that'd be a big fight. The holiday is Day of the Dead. 2 Mexican fighters. David Benavidez would be another epic fight. You know, if he comes past Anthony Durrell, he'd be a champion. See, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Canelo, if he wants to be a 3-division champion, if David Benavidez beats Anthony Durrell, that's a 2-time world champion. Durrell beat Sakio Bika for the belt, and he also beat that for the vacant belt, I think, the Yildirim dude that Chris Eubank fought. So if Canelo were to fight David Benavidez, that would be a tried, you know, more of a proven champion as opposed to Rocky Fielding. Because I've seen Benavidez versus J. Leon Love and Porky Medina, you know, just guys who are noted in the division. And if he comes through the Anthony Durrell fight, then more of the same. Rocky Fielding, who has he ever beat of note? His best opponent name was the guy he lost to in the first round, Caleb Smith. And then his other best name, Canelo, knocked him out coming up in weight, moving up 3 divisions. Why is this car merging at like 5 miles per hour? What the fuck? These people be driving crazy, man. So, yeah, Canelo Triple G, I think it's just stale. And I think that they had the opportunity to make it an epic affair. DAZN had all of the middleweight belts kind of in their grasp. And all they had to do was make Canelo Jacobs, which was already a thing, and they did. And around that time when Triple G was finally coming back, he was picking between PBC, ESPN, and DAZN as to what he would make his home. DAZN offered this crazy amount of money and finally landed on DAZN. Triple G comes back to fight Steve Rose, who nobody's ever really even heard of. And that was a bogus fight, really made no sense. And I don't see how people could be happy with that particular matchup. And it was a bullshit fight. Triple G's supposed to be the boogeyman. But what they should have did is, like I've been saying, put Golovkin in there with Demetrius Boo Boo Andre, WBO champion at middleweight. That's a belt that Golovkin never possessed because the WBO champion was previously Billy Joe Saunders, who was supposed to fight Andre, but failed a drug test with some nasal spray, he's saying, but whatever. So they didn't get to fight, and then the belt became vacant. The rest is history. But that belt freed up, Andre collected it, and he's had some title defenses. He beat Madge Zaleski recently, dropped him in the first round. Jacobs had a tougher fight with Madge Zaleski than did Andre. So Andre is the goods, he's an Olympian, Golovkin's an Olympian. So it made all the sense in the world to make a fight like that. Plus, the winner of Canelo Jacobs and Triple G Andre, had they have fought, would be in line for undisputed. Now DAZN has messed that up because things have happened. The WBC had no choice but to make Canelo a franchise champion, right? Where he became this fake champion, like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't fight Charlo, and they had to find a reason to justify it. So they made him into this franchise champion that has never been a thing, and made Charlo into a regular champion. So Canelo, what he had previously said all year about wanting to be undisputed in middleweight division, all that went to shit. Now he's fighting Kovalev at 175. I thought you wanted to be undisputed at 160. Now you're moving to 175, and they're claiming it's a legacy fight. What I thought being undisputed at middleweight was your legacy. Canelo also had failed negotiations with Sergey Derevyanchenko, who's now fighting Golovkin, and nobody's talking about the fight. And it just went left from that. Canelo had all the belts except for one, but now he's back to square one. He only has one belt at middleweight. So as a result, the other champions like Andrade and Charlo, in my opinion, are difficult fights. So his team chose to, you know, really bamboozle the public, use a faded name like Kovalev, and elect to fight him instead, even though the game plan was to be undisputed at middleweight, and the game plan is to not stay at 175 and to come back down to 160. All of this instead of fighting guys who are already in your division where you're a champion at 160 and 168. He wants to set history and all this stuff. So, you know, I'm not really impressed with the Kovalev fight because I know what it's about. Kovalev also has a very, I keep saying the same thing, quick turnaround from a tough fight with Anthony Yarde in which he was almost stopped. That hurt the Canelo fight. If it would have been the same outcome with a little less resistance where he didn't almost get stopped, then it might add more suspense. But the fact that another inexperienced guy who's a puncher but didn't really have the experience like Kovalev gave Kovalev that much issue, it hurt the Canelo fight, in my opinion. It hurt the Canelo fight a bit. You know, as opposed to Kovalev looked like Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, where it's like this shutout, flawless performance. He had his way for the bulk of the round. That's not what happened. It was a very competitive fight between Kovalev and Anthony Yarde. It was a very good fight. But to come from that type of fight and then immediately jump in what is perceived as another tough fight, even though the guy's coming up in weight, you know, I don't prefer it. Plus, they're doing it on the same day as Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, which is a UFC fight that I think happens to be more compelling and intriguing. I don't really know what's going to happen there. So, it is what it is, but this is what DAZN is elected to have. This is what they're doing. This is what Canelo's doing. So, it is what it is. As far as the Golovkin-Canelo, I don't know. I think they've had the chance to make that fight, and they should have made it while the iron was hot. And they could have even had something that HBO Boxing didn't have, which is a fight for undisputed. HBO, the two Canelo Triple G fights, was never for every single belt. They had the opportunity to do that, but they didn't want Triple G to fight someone like an Andrade, even though they're all on DAZN, Canelo, Andrade, Triple G. And as a result, the fans miss out. Andrade doesn't get the opportunity to showcase. See, this is the thing with a guy like Andrade. He's good. We know he's good. But we want to see how good he is. It's like, I'm tired of seeing Andrade, someone that good, have to fight guys that don't really prove to me where he really and truly lies in the division. You can't put him in with less than guys or guys who've never been champions before. Golovkin has been a champion before. Selesky and all these other, you know, Artur Kov, these guys have never been champions before. So, to me, a champion never getting to fight other champions is a bit of a problem, you know, or a former champion, because you don't really know what it is, in my opinion. So I know Andrade is good, but I want to see how good he is. I want to see his skills tested against someone who I consider a threat. But I also think he can win that fight, like a Canelo or Triple G fight. So, you know, it's kind of a shame what is, in my opinion, what has happened here. Because DAZN was really holding the cards to the middleweight division. And unlike PBC they have all the best welterweights for the most part outside of Terrence Crawford. They're at least putting them against each other. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter versus Errol Spence next week. They were trying to make Danny Garcia Mikey Garcia, but he's kind of in limbo as to what division. And, you know, he has to play it safe because he came off a bad loss. But you've gotten Sean Porter versus Kell Brooks, Sean Porter, Devin, when that was relevant. You've gotten Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman, Danny. You know, Errol Spence, we know, is down to fight Pacquiao. All this stuff. You know, so the fights are there and ready, and they're unifying, consolidating with the top welterweights. DAZN, for whatever reason, they are hell-bent on Canelo versus Triple G. Like, this is just the fight everyone's clamoring for. It's like they almost want to piggyback off of the labor that HBO Boxing did with the Canelo Triple G fight, and they're hoping that, oh, we can we can take this stagnant amount of subscribers and whatnot and just piggyback and coattail off of what HBO Boxing did because the Canelo Triple G 1 and 2, they've already fought 24 rounds. It's already been promoted. So, you know, it's really lazy promotion. Instead of taking a fresh fight that you have to, there is no history there because they haven't fought, but it still could be a really good fight, like Triple G versus Andrade. And the fans see that, you know, Canelo versus Andrade or Charlo or something, or even Billy Joe Saunders. He signed with Eddie Hearn. I keep forgetting Billy Joe Saunders. He said he could fight at 160, 168. He's a champion at 168. He's a former champion at 160. Why can't Canelo or Triple G fight one of them? You know, instead we're getting Triple G versus Derevchenko for the belt, or Triple G versus Steve Rolls, whoever this character is. It's just, to me, it don't really make sense. And I think it's a waste of DAZN having all the belts in that division. What's the point of having all the Billy Joe Saunders, the Triple Gs, the Andrades, the Canelos, and, you know, the major stake, Caleb Smith, if you're not going to put them in with each other? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to have everybody but not match them together when they would be unique, brand new, fun fights that the fans could get behind, fresh matchups. And you can always revisit a rematch in trilogy. Like, look at Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez. They didn't just fight each other 4 times back to back. You know, it was spaced out. Ego Rideshare, Canelo versus Triple G. Not really so big on it. I've arrived at my destination, and, you know, we just working. This is fun. I enjoy doing it. Make sure you guys are safe on the road, and I got more stuff coming. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.